Hello Calculus, Mr. Lofster, I'm back with another lesson. We're making our way through the review of pre-calculus, things that we will need in calculus. Today's lesson is about combining functions. So, very quickly, combining functions is simply putting together any two functions. So, I picked out two fairly basic functions. F of x is 1 over x and g of x is x minus 4. And we're going to practice doing the addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, and composition. So, for addition, what we want to do is we want to say that, okay, we want to have f of x plus g of x. Sometimes it's written f plus g of x. And this is the same thing. All we're going to do is we're going to take a look at this and we're going to say, fine, f of x is 1 over x. And I will add that to g of x, which is x minus 4. And so I take those two things and I add them and I find that there is no like terms. And in fact, I'm done. Let's say that I was going to ask you to find f plus g of 3. You'd simply plug it into f of x and get 1/3. You'd plug it into g of x and get negative 1, and you add those two. 1/3 plus negative 1 is negative 2/3. So there's an example there. How does it change for subtraction? It doesn't really. F minus g of x. Remember, I just need to go ahead and subtract these two. So we knew what f of x was. It was 1 over x. We know that g of x is the quantity of x minus 4. Okay, so I need to subtract both of these. My final answer is 1 over x minus x plus 4. That's the usual mistake right there. Okay, so we need to add 4. So 1 over x minus x plus 4 would be this. And there's no like terms, so nothing I can do. And that would be my answer. Okay, that's for addition and subtraction. I guess we'll need to move forward into multiplication and division. So, to multiply, it will look like f times g of x. Okay? And in reality, that's the same thing as finding f of x and multiplying it by g of x. So, that will be 1 over x. And this will be 1 over x minus 4. And we will go ahead and multiply those two things. This gets a little more interesting because we will end up with 1 over x times the quantity of x minus 4. Now, that's in factored form. So I like that. That's done. Many of you will want to call this 1 over x squared minus 4x. Which, as long as the division sign is there long enough, we're fine. That's okay as well. However, this, being in factored form, lets me reduce in case there is more in the numerator. So I would rather have it in this form and be done than that form, even though they are equivalent to each other. Okay? Now, the last one is division. I shouldn't say the last one. The last of the usual operations is division. And so let's just call this f divided by g of x. And so, yeah, that's the equivalent to f of x divided by g of x. So f of x we said was 1 over x. We're going to divide that by g of x, which is x minus 4. And so remember, now we have a complex fraction. 1 over x over x minus 4. We're going to multiply by the reciprocal, and this becomes the 1 over x times 1 over x minus 4. Which is, interestingly enough, we've seen this before, 1 over x times the quantity of x minus 4. That's interesting, isn't it? I wonder why that one happened. I wonder if I did this in a different order. I wonder if I did g of x over f of x. As you see that answer, I'm going to leave that answer over there. But let's do g over f of x. So that's just g of x divided by f of x. So quickly, g of x is x minus 4, and now I'm going to divide that by f of x, which is 1 over x. What does it mean to multiply by that? It means I take the numerator times the reciprocal of the denominator, and I will get x minus 4 times x. Okay, so there we have the division. Notice the division are not the same because dividing the order is important. So there we have those four. Add, subtract, multiply, and divide. I could have picked a little bit easier examples, but I figured since you guys were in calculus, we didn't need to do the easiest ones again. Okay, then the next thing we want to do is compose. Now, composition is putting the answer of one into the other. Okay, and there's two ways to notate this. So one of the notations is what I call FOG, which is really f following g of x. Now this composition means f following g of x, means I need to do g of x first. So this means that this is going to be f, and now I'm going to replace this other part with g of x, which is x minus 4. So now I'm going to input x minus 4 into the function f. Well, function f says whatever the input is, take 1 divided by the input. So that means that this will be 1 divided by my input. My input was x minus 4, so it's 1 over the quantity of x minus 4. And that is f following g of x. Now the other notation is to simply do this. G of f of x, just nested parentheses. Again, g of f of x, we need to work from the innermost parentheses. Remember parentheses, please excuse my dear on soup, parentheses, exponents. We need to work from the very inside first, and this will become g of, now remember f of x was 1 over x, so that's g of 1 over x. Now I plug into g. The function g says whatever the input is, take the input minus 4. The input is 1 over x, so we take that input, we go 1 over x, and we subtract 4. And there is my answer. Now if I want a common denominator, it's x, right? So I would have to multiply by x over x, and I would get 1 minus 4x, all divided by x. So there would be one of the possible answers, and here's the other possible answer for g following f of x. And that is called composition of functions. Okay? So whether we notate it with the open circle there, the small open circle, FOG or f following g of x, or we notate it right here, it's the same, these are opposite of each other. I could say this would be f of g of x. I hope that makes sense. F following g of x, f of g of x, same thing. Two different notations. All the texts still use that, so we want to make sure you understand both of those. And there you have it. That's combining functions. Now we're going to have a little activity here, kind of a game, if you will. So do your best, and then let's see if you understand this. Good luck.